application, as well as relogging to the application, as well as we have some additional fields, right? So we had a plan. So Binil's here to explain how we are going to clinically do it. So Binil.
Yeah, Greg and John. One confusion we had was how we will be migrating the passwords. We discussed with our technical team came with a solution. We will be migrating all the user data, and we will add a flag like whether it is a new user or an old user. So in the case of migrated users, we will flag them as all users as true. So whenever they tries to log in, we will know from the API call that it is an old user who is trying to log in back. So we can display a message like for enhanced security or something, we have updated our system and you may require to re-log in by clicking on a particular link. So they'll be getting an email to their registered email address with a particular token or a code. And that will be valid for around 15 minutes, or that duration we can decide later. And that link will work only for one time until the user resets the password.
That sounds great. Now you have a tool to generate the OTPs?
Yeah, we will be using our own algorithm or something like that, which we are currently using for the forgot password workflows. We are having our own algorithm.
Okay.
Something like a unique ID. So it depends on the current timestamp on microseconds, so that it cannot be easily replicated back. And that token we will be tracking against each user, so that we will know whether he has reset the password or not. So once he resets the password, we know that he has re-authenticated, and we can make the old user or the pending user status as false. So after a particular time, we will know that some users, they have not logged in back, and we can, if required, we can purge those records.
Okay.
Then regarding the migration, I have considered some points like what will be the database sizes, how many schemas and tables we have, how many big tables we have, something like some data tables may have some data types which are not supported currently, something like since we are using both different versions of MySQL, some data types we may have a better options. So those data types we have to consider while writing the migrations. Then some data types like blob, binary long objects, they may take a bit of time while executing a script. So we have to consider those things also while writing a migration. Then definitely we will have to use a transaction, because we will have to migrate a particular user along with his groups and everything. So if an error happens, we will have to automatically roll back. Else we will be in a condition like we will have a issue with the user migrations. So we'll have to definitely use a concept of transactions. Like we'll be migrating a particular user, we will log the other tables. We'll migrate all the user related data like group, blocks, everything. And once everything is successful, we'll release the logs. Then we will have to.
I have a question.
Okay.
Will you be recording in some way the data for which there are exceptions?
Definitely.
For example, yeah, once the migration's done, we'd like to go back and say, okay, these particular records did not get migrated. For example, there might be a blog where the user who created it doesn't exist anymore for some reason, or a photo record the user doesn't exist, or the group doesn't exist, so that we can go back and review those. So you will be recording that, right?
Yes, John, definitely. We will have to write a lot of logs for each success as well as a failure transaction. We will have to write a log so that we can audit it later. So
okay, very good.
For example, first we are considering the first user record, say Greg. we are we are creating the Greg's record to the new database. So we will create like we have migrated the Greg's record, something like user ID 1 success. Then we will consider his groups. So each success as well as a failure, we will write a log. So for all the failure logs, we will write them to a particular text file so that we can audit it once the migration is success or a fail.
John, when we're going in, when we went into the member files, was there a spot for in the member file for the groups they are in, or is that just in the group? It says what members are in the group, or both?
There's actually what I call an intersection table. So for example, Greg, you had a group table that lists all the groups. You have a user table that lists all the users. And then you have a third table that correlates users to groups.
Okay.
Okay. In the new system also, we have a similar concept, but we named that table as group members. So it will be having the user ID as well as a member ID, so that we will have our database optimized instead of duplicating the records.
Good.
So then we should have a idea on the rollback plans in case of a failure, as well as we will have to validate all the migrations. Then, as John suggested, we will have to have an idea on what data is valid and what data is junk. So before writing the migration, the first thing will be to eliminate the invalid records. So we will have to use some particular fields like the email addresses, whether they are something like a temporary email addresses or whether they exist or not. We will have to create a whitelist as well as a blacklist. Then we will have to filter those things before going for the real migration.
Okay, good.
So this
Now,
is
I'll send out the emails. We're going to use SendGrid to send out the emails, right?
Greg, we will not be using a SendGrid. We are using the SendGrid for sending the emails like registration emails, invitations and all. In the case of migrations, we don't require a email service. This is purely a backend operation.
Okay.
Yeah, Greg, we're gonna have to look for a service that allows us to do, email blasts.
Yeah. So MailChimp or something.
MailChimp we can use.
Yeah. So we're gonna need something like that long term, and I don't know that we necessarily want to go through a full analysis of what service we want long term, but we can probably just select one of the simple services just for these migration emails. But that's a separate effort that's outside of the development. The site really doesn't do that. Ultimately, what we'll do is we'll get a list of email addresses and potentially the corresponding user, the names of the people with it, so we can personalize the message if we want.
Right.
But that's an effort that's outside of the scope of the site that we have to prepare for. So the way we do that is going to vary based on the provider, but typically your email provider will give you a way to upload a list of email addresses.
Sure, CSV or something.
It will give you it will give you a way to create your message template, with or without personalization. So you could actually have, instead of having a message say "Dear user," it'll say "Dear Greg," that kind of thing. So we'll have to craft that message on our own as far as what we're doing, but that's something that we have to kind of plan outside of development. That'll be a separate.
You're right. This isn't the bill. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, John.
Okay, cool.
I have experience with mail. They are providing API so that when we are doing the migrations, we can call that API and we can push the user data to a particular list. So you don't have to import a CSV. So suppose you are having 9,000 users, you will, while migrating the data, you can call those APIs and you will get the list on your MailChimp list. So you just
That's
need to,
MailChimp, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
MailChimp. I have used it for some other projects.
Cool. All right, great.
So similarly, while
Greg,
a user
you should,
signs up, while a user signs up, you can also push the user data to the MailChimp so that you don't have to uh, manually upload a CSV file. So you will have your MailChimp list updated automatically whenever a new user joins in. You can call that API.
That's great.
yeah, Greg, one of the things you should do before we get to that point is look at setting up a MailChimp account for us
I will.
so that we have one. I don't know offhand what kind of plans they have, but once you do the initial investigation and kind of hone in on, you know, one or two plans that you think might work for us,
Right.
you can pass that info to me. You can probably give me access to the account without giving me your credentials. And then I can kind of review to make sure that it'll fit with like our long-term plans.
Yeah, I'm sure MailChimp has something just like that. So you know what we need.
Yeah. The other thing related to this, Greg, is coincidentally, I just received a message from a major music festival, one of the largest music festivals in the world, which is in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, my hometown. And they just redid their ticketing system. So I received an email from them the other day that said, you know, you have to create a new account, create a new password, very similar to what we're going to be doing to our existing users.
Awesome.
So I will forward a copy of that message to you because you can leverage the content of that message to craft our own message.
Awesome.
You can
Please
see
do.
the type of language they use, et cetera. And that'll give you a head start on the message we create.
So obviously that message sounded pretty good, and it was something that you would reply to. That's the important part.
Yeah. I mean, if
Yeah,
I don't
cool.
if I don't use that, if I don't go to those music festivals or am not concerned, I'm not going to follow up on it. But it definitely is something that would get you engaged. If you're engaged in the site, it'll cause you to take action.
Is it like folk or jazz, or what kind of music is it?
It's Music Fest. It's all different kinds of music. They have it every year in August. You can look it up. It's called Music Fest with a K. It's the largest. It's one of the largest music festivals in the world. It's like 11 days, and it's all free. You know, that kind of thing.
Oh my God! Wow, that's great. Yeah, definitely. I'll check it out. So I'll contact MailChimp today and start getting that ball rolling. All right, sorry guys. That sounds like the plan. That sounds good.
Okay. So these are the main points I have considered. John, I will send you the points I have briefed on this discussion so that you can also have a check at it. And we can, once everything is fine with you and Greg, we can proceed with the estimation and the time required for migrations.
Okay.
The safe thing is that since we are having,
one of the things that would be helpful is Greg and I go through the columns in the various tables as to what data we need to retain. There's certain things that we're not sure if we need to migrate it because I'm not sure of the database schema that you guys created. For example, our photos table has not just the file name for the photo, but it has the content type, you know, JPEG or PNG. It also has the file size and the height and the width. And, you know, in Greg and my view, we don't know if that stuff you're storing in the database or not. So can you also send me your schema?
yeah, sure.
so I can kind of see what columns and what tables you have, because that'll help us filter out the data that we don't need to focus on.
Okay. Yeah, John.
Yeah, there's actually a lot more than that, John. There was like the member, then the group, and a couple of when it was,
there's quite a few, but if
Yeah.
you send us, Banu, if you send us the schema, I'll be able to say, well, they're not saving this data, so we don't need it.
Yeah,
You know,
sure, John.
I'll be
will
able to
share the schema.
identify.
I will share you the schema structure.
Yeah, there's also
Okay.
a photo, at least photos, if not a lot more, on the other AWS database. I don't know if you've been able to get into it, but it has a different account number, and I'm pretty sure it's all the photos from the groups and for some other stuff, but we have to get into that also and make sure we migrate those.
Okay.
Greg, keep
if
in mind that there's not actually a database there, Greg. It's just file storage.
Files, yeah.
Yeah,
the
Greg,
da-
if
the
that
database-
file is accessible through public accessible permission is there, we can download it and we can save it to our S3 buckets. That will not be an issue. Since if we don't have a public view permission, that might create some problem in migration.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're all public, because you can view the photos from a browser directly. So
okay, then we will have to find out what all files are there. We will have to create a CSV file and we will have to download it, and we can upload it back to the S3 buckets.
Thank you. Yeah.
One question that I do have regarding photos, since we're talking about it, is for every photo that's been uploaded by a user of the existing site, the system was automatically generating smaller versions, a thumbnail, what they called a thumbnail and what they called a preview. And I'm not sure exactly how they changed the image, but it wasn't a very good process, because in some cases the thumbnail has a larger file size than the original photo. But what we see is in the database, there's basically 3 records for every image, and the thumbnail and the preview records are related to the original image. Are you guys, when somebody uploads a photo, are you saving just the original image that gets uploaded, or are you creating other versions of the photo? For example, if I upload a logo for a group, are you saving a large image, the original image size, and then are you creating a small one to fit on the screen display when you view the group?
John, right now we are just uploading the original image. We are not creating the thumbnails. The technique we use for creating the image is like, you will be uploading to an S3 bucket. There you can have the concept called lambda functions or anonymous functions, where whenever a file is uploaded, that function will get triggered, and that function will create all the required thumbnails and other images automatically. So you don't have to spend for a server, or you don't have to use your EC2 instance for creating the thumbnail, since image manipulation is a huge task.
Okay,
While creating the thumbnails, if you're using your EC2 instance, that may affect your server performance. So AWS is providing a concept called lambda functions. So you'll have to pay for only the computation time you are using. So you will create an anonymous function which will create a thumbnail, and what it will listen is for a write operation to our S3 bucket. So whenever a user uploads a file, that lambda function will trigger and it will create the thumbnail automatically. And
Okay,
that will return a URL.
As far as the database goes, you're only creating one record for that photo. Yes. And the logic on how to retrieve a thumbnail or whatever is built into the code. like
Exactly.
into the
So
API or
it
whatever.
depends on
Is that
the,
correct?
yes,
That's
correct.
the Lambda tool.
So you can specify which URL you want to use for a particular thumbnail. Suppose you are uploading a file called greg.jpg and you want your thumbnails to be greg-thumbnail.jpg. You can pass that name to the Lambda function. So before creating the Lambda file, you can directly name it as greg-thumbnail in your database. So your system will automatically append the thumbnail word to the file. So you can have it automatically created.
Okay, but my question is more specifically, when someone uploads a photo, you're creating one record in the database. You're not creating multiple records, one for the
Not
uploaded
required,
image
actually.
and
Not
one for the,
required, actually.
I'm sorry,
Just
what was that?
you don't have to
Okay.
keep everything in record, since you know that you are creating the thumbnail with a thumbnail keyword appended it. So you don't have to keep it in a copy.
Okay,
So
very
you
good.
can we have not written that Lambda function yet. During the optimization process, we can write that Lambda function because it is pay as you go.
Okay, thank you.
That's great. All right.
So I
That's
think Binu just told the plan for the migration. So I know since there is a large user base and we need to tackle out the unwanted users, the people. Maybe there should be a lot of refinements here. So Binu has some plan, as you said, but definitely we are looking up to you. So if you have any particular scenarios to look on for the migration, we have discussed on our sessions, we first of all thought like for every website or application who's been if you have a large kind of user base, as John earlier said, like there are many fraudulent users, like they are using a pornographic images and all those things, and they are creating a fake account. So in order to tackle those things, I think they usually don't frequently interested in UB Sports. Maybe they are just spamming out the website. So in that case, we could first of all take out the people who is not logging during the last 6 months. Maybe that will refine most of the unfrequent or unwanted users. Majority, I think we could get a cluster there. So
I think
those
John
people who
actually
are,
had a better idea for that. John's idea was, it seems like all the fraudulent users were from some adult website and they posted something like, go to see adult videos or something. So John's idea was to eliminate all files for members that had adult in them. And that would knock out a bunch of them, according to what we see.
Yeah, but I think Greg, they're suggesting that we also look at user activity. For example, if someone hasn't logged in or accessed the website in a year, you might not want to migrate them, because they're not coming back.
Will the cost be, how much more would the cost be for each of those files? I mean, to me, it makes more, it might be more trouble and more expense to eliminate them rather than to have them load up in the database. And then if they don't sign in or unsubscribe, then we erase them after 3 months or something like that.
I don't think the cost is an issue, because you simply are pulling that user data and you're saying, okay, when's the last time they logged in or whatever. And if it was so old, so there's no additional cost or expense or effort in identifying them. And it does go a long way to, your data hygiene. You may have had someone 2 years ago from some organization that was looking at your site to see if it was going to be something that was useful. They tried it out. They decided, nah, it's not for us. Do you want to keep
Well, I actually think that that's a great example of when we want to keep them.
I think John has some network issue there. So
Yeah,
you
I
must
think
have-
he froze. He
Yeah.
froze a moment. Yeah. So Greg,
I thought it
what I
was
suggest
my
is also, John, there is a point like if you're not keeping on, like even myself, I have been trying many applications like just like going through, but I never visit the back again the application or the website because I just want the curiosity, like what is this website, all those things. But so the
Yeah.
record stays there. So what I suggest is if you are using a lot of services like the things in future, these are sometimes a baggage. I mean, people are not login frequently, so we should, I think, avoid them. Maybe we could refine them before eliminating them. We can have that in the one single CSP, so that like when we giving a revamp message, like we are revamping the website and everyone can log in, or just like that we can use that email. But definitely we don't want to import the user perform settings, all those things, because we can avoid
Sure.
that kind of users. Maybe they will get that message in the email, and when they click on, they can register normally from the scratch, because there is nothing much we are carrying out in the website. So they can re-log in, or they can, if they're a genuine user, maybe one out of 100 of 1%, maybe one people may really forget actually interested in the website, but they don't get time in the last 6 months. Maybe there are some cases. So for them, we can give a chance, like we can broadcast a message to all users, just as it's an email, like we are revamping it. You can register it here again, but we don't have to we don't have to take their user details while migration. We can omit those not frequent users, because that will refine our database more efficiently. And in the way, like John said, there are some scammers. Though, like scammers don't frequently visit that, they just want to pollute the system. So once they pollute it, they will not frequently visit it. Their data will be, so we could evade something like like John said, adult is a word, but maybe there are people who's not using the word adult itself, but they are spamming it. So we can also remove that kind of people too. So anyway, we are sending an email to them, like they are revamping. So for the next time when they log in, and we are already going to verify their email, definitely for sure, for the next when the website is revamping. So from now onwards, spamming we can avoid it in future. So I think we should remove the people who's not frequently visiting the website. That alone, maybe we can test it out, because while we can provide the menu, may be able to filter out the people who is not recently active in the last 6 months. So that will total number of users, we can see how many people are not visiting properly or something like that. So that will we can design. That is maybe the first step to evade, filter out the people.
Yeah, I think it should be a hybrid of both. I think that if we can get rid of all the adult site people, for example, there's a lot of them apparently. So if we can just like comb out all the adult ones, that's going to take out thousands of them right there apparently. So that would be the first step to making this a lot easier a task. And
I'm sure, but Greg, I'm sure those people, the people, I believe they will not log in the last 6 months, maybe. So maybe in our first step, like refining the people who is only logging in the last 6 months, maybe I'm not saying we are going to execute this, but just we can see whether how is that people covered up in that session. Maybe then that is all enough, but still we could provide after that. We can have, again, we have to, this is a complicated step. We have to refine it on various level. We need to try and see how much pollutants are removed. So this is just like an experiment of.
Yeah, I think Greg's concern is that once we filter out all the fraudulent websites and people who haven't used it in 6 months, he's going to be the only user left.
I'm sure we could. Sure, then no problems. I believe we can extend the time. Like we can try it out. Like it's obviously a filter. We are not going to execute the script, so we can try it out.
Really, what I'm thinking about is the people who signed on like 3 years ago and they weren't that excited about the site. And they're people that we want to get in, and they're influencers. So if they see the new site, they go, wow, either they stepped up or, oh, I forgot about the site. And that would be important, I think. So I don't want to lose those guys because they weren't on for the past year.
I think, Greg, once we kind of run a test to see, okay, this is what's going to get filtered out.
Yeah.
We can kind of make that decision then and say, wow, there's like 3,000 people who haven't accessed it in the last 6 months or 1 year. And we can decide whether we want to migrate them and encourage them to come back, or if you want to kind of target them separate, not migrate them, and target them with a different type of marketing communication rather than come back, we upgraded our site, come change your password, etc. Instead, you can really go after them with a more focused marketing message about the improvements you've made, and they can kind of set up a new account at that point, which is really no different than getting someone to come back, but you're going to get fresh data. So once we see kind of the test run and what data is there, we can make a much more informed decision about how to proceed with those people. So let's just kind of table that decision until we look at the data.
Agreed.
Indeed,
Definitely.
indeed, that's the right way, because we know we can't say, like John and Greg said, maybe we may log, maybe sometimes people may not be logging in the last. So, but let's see and try how many users, while we filter out let's say the total attendance, and see how many people are filtered out while we check this condition. So once we, like John said, we could use that. We don't just want to flush them out, but in the main way, we could use them as a marketing tool. Like, we have a new product, we have a new phase of the website. Just go through and look in just a marketing strategy to make them really cling on to the new. Just make sure to click that button to redirect to the new website. So that should be the main content for those people. We have to target them. Like target A is a people who need to market out, and target B definitely should go out of the system, and target B something like that. We need to cluster it together as a people who's needed to the system, who's going to be. So we need to categorize them as already the loyal users. Definitely they need a migration, and there are people who's been not logging in. Definitely we need them, but at the same time, what they didn't look that time, maybe it is now there in the website. So we can pull them back using a good marketing strategy. So we could use their emails there, and we could use that like a broadcast marketing. We could send out the messages like join, and make sure to click them to redirect to the new website. So the face of the website, we could redirect them, and we can make them register it again. So that was also one thing. So I think this is something will take some time. As we know, there is the user base is very important to any application. So we already have a good user base, but we need to filter out. So we have to be very sure it should be a clinical surgery. Like we have to carefully don't want to lose as loyal users. At the same time, we need to evade, flush out the junkers or spammers in the website. So in that way, we need to refine it very precisely. So I think Binu, this is one of my suggestions, but Binu definitely will have another suggestions to filter out the users.
Okay, that's wonderful.
So Binu,
Binu,
you have
what I
anything?
suggest is we can create as I mentioned earlier, we can create the white list and the blacklist so that we know what all conditions we can take in for filtering the users. Then we can execute with different combinations, and we can see how many records we are getting with the basic user model itself, instead of going for the groups, and we can see.
Yeah, very good.
So once we are okay with the list of users, we can continue with the groups, bulletins, blogs, everything.
Good.
So I think it's good. Now we have things what we need for the estimation. So Binu will be doing the estimation. So you think you have anything else to add up to make sure Binu to do while doing migration? So he will keep note of that too.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, I don't have.
Yeah, I will send you the existing or the new system schema so that you can have an understanding on the fields.
Yeah, and I think it's going to take Greg and I another several hours. So hopefully by Wednesday, we will get through the database and be able to provide you the specific info on what data elements we want to attempt to migrate, as well as some of the criteria. So that's kind of what I'm looking at as a target for that. I don't know that that prevents you from building an initial rough estimate. You'll certainly need it to commit to an estimate, but we'll try to have that for you by next Wednesday's meeting.
Okay, sounds good.
John, are you working
That's
on Monday?
wonderful.
What's your schedule for Monday, John?
Not sure. Well,
Are you
Monday's a
doing Memorial
holiday.
Day parties?
Yeah, I mean, Monday's a holiday, so I don't know.
All right, so just hit Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, we can maybe do something Monday. I just don't know right now.
And Tuesday's fine because that's I'll be able to take time then and do that.
Yeah, let's do Tuesday. If I have time Monday that I can do stuff, there's some legwork I can do before you and I get together to kind
All
of
right.
reduce the amount of time we need.
All right.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
send me
So
that-
in the
send me that
meantime,
email so we can-
Binu will be able to send you the schema, so you could do your homework before getting into that. Binu will
Great.
send you the schemas before that.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Excellent. I think that's where we are right now. Anything else?
Oh, yes, Greg, but how about the discussion on, the phase 2 or the CRs? I hope you got the chance to go through the sheet that was
Yeah.
shared with you.
Uh-huh.
So did you have any additional points to be added into that?
No, I thought you were right on.
Okay, so if that's okay with you, we can actually prepare an estimate on that, right?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Yeah, that's all from my end.
So unless you don't have anything else for Binu to look up for the estimations, we are good, right?
I think
Yes.
so.
All right. So let's wind up. So we will come up with the estimation very soon. Like Binu, like I said, it's not that going to be. We have to very clinically plan according to that how to filter out the user, not losing our faithful users. At the same time, we have to flush out. So we are looking up. Just like I'd say, we can try and see how much users filtered out, how much. So we have to. We will be looking on to that, and I will let you know an update by Wednesday. But not. I don't know. But maybe we could come up with the estimation on before the next call for sure.
Okay.
All right. So I think that's all from my end. So let's find out.
Thanks, Greg.
Okay, Greg.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Guys.
Have a great day, Jay.
Guys,
have a great day.
Greg and John.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.